Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. This is going to be a workshop, so I warn you that you're going to see code here, and also we are going to talk about data, and we are actually going to look at data. So I wonder how many of you have already registered to the contest, to the challenge. Can you please raise your hand? Oh, good, good. So okay, so well, those of you who have also the flavor of the data and also having been working on the data on the challenge for a while, please bear with me because I'm going to remind you things that you already know. But I think it's good to go through the details of the contest and also about how to go from data to value. And the contest is actually how to use the data that BBVA is actually giving us for through the API in the contest. But my approach here, and going to try to convince you, is that the challenge is about how to get the value from the data and to transform it into an application. So well, first of all, let me remind you the contest, the BBVA contest, the Innova Challenge contest is a data contest in which you can access the API by BBVA. The API has three services, and I'm going to tell you a little bit about the three services of the API. The idea of the API is a challenge in which you can submit an application which is actually working on or making use of the data that is available through the API, and you have to construct applications in three tracks or three main roads. The first of it is the track about business to consumer. So the end user is going to be a consumer. The second one is business to business, in which the application has to be developed for businesses in mind. And the third one is about content, specifically visualization. I mean, how to visualize, which is another way of analyze the data that you get through the API. In the contest, you are encouraged to use other sources of public information. I'm going to show you some of them. Basically, you have to register in the developer part of the contest in order to submit your application, but also in the homepage of the Innovation Center, in which you can find all the information. Actually, this is the homepage of the Centro de Innovación BBVA, and you can find all the data, all the information about how to connect to the API, how to register your application, and also at the bottom of this homepage, you can find also all these transparencies that I'm going to show you today, and also all the transparencies of the other workshops that we have had already in other venues. Okay, so, but today what I'm going to talk about is basically this roadmap. The challenge participant roadmap is about having data, obviously, for the contest, mining the data, which is I think is one of the most important parts in the contest. How to get from the data to value. We have, at least this morning and this afternoon, we have many talks about the technicalities of how to store data, how to query data, how to request data. But I think tomorrow and also my expertise is about how to get value from the data and how to build analysis and models, which I think is where the value is in the data. And the final part is I'm gonna show you how to get from this mining of the data, this analysis and models, to the main tracks, which are application, content, or visualization. Okay, so first of all, I'm going to introduce you a little bit about the type of data you can find in the API. This data is a particular data in the sense that it is a geotag data. It has geolocalization in the background of the data. So this is a very special, let's say, type of data that I'm going to introduce to you. I'm also going to show you that you need to access other geotag data, and some of them are open, or at least they have, you have access to part of it for free. And an example, I'm going to show you how to build an application, which is very simple application with a geolocalized recommendation engine for built on top of this API from the BBVA. Okay, well, for sure you know more, more than me about this, because some of you might have been working on this geographical information systems for a while. But let me introduce you, first of all, which is the kind of data that we have from the API. Basically what we have is data, what we call geolocalized data, in which we have information about a person, an event, an infrastructure, something that is happening, something that could happen in geography. at different levels of resolution. We can have from GPS coordinates to, I don't know, administrative boundaries or sections or whatever, okay? Many of you know that we have been witnessing blooming of data related to cities, for example, in which we have not only cities but also countries or I don't know other administrative regions. So we have seen, for example, a lot of data coming from satellite images. We have a lot of data about, for example, urban background through maps. But also we are living in a society in which everybody is carrying in their pockets a sensor, a pervasive sensoring, which is reporting where we are, where we call from, what are the transactions that we do, and also, I mean, how do we move it, for example, or etc. So we have a lot of information, a lot of digital traces, as Marcelo Soria was pointing this morning. We have a lot of information that is produced by us locally and geographically in a geographical context and also in a time context that and also, for example, in social media, you can have geolocalized tweets or Foursquare check-ins or Facebook places, etc., Google places. And also you have information from the local governments, from the major councils, etc., that tells you how the people move around in the city, or I don't know, where, for example, are the garbage collectors, I mean, in a specific time of day, for example. All of this, I think we have now much more data that we can use or we can analyze, because specifically the sensors of the social media are producing so much data which is geolocalized that we cannot actually analyze it. So this is why we talk about geospatial big data, because we have a lot of data that has a lot of variety. You can see that there's a lot of variety here, but also there's a lot of velocity because, for example, in Spain, 2% of the people are producing geolocalized tweets. And this is an enormous amount of data that is produced, not to tell, for example, credit card transactions like Marcelo Soria was talking about, or telephone calls, which are also placed in antennas. Okay. At the end of the day, the big data that we collect from I mean, this geolocalized data that we collect, at the end of the day is basically for two main purposes. The first one is to allocate people or activity or money in areas of our cities, of our country, of our administrative region, but also to identify flows. Also identify how people is moving in the cities. I mean, where is money going from one place to the other, or how diseases, for example, are propagating in countries. So this is the two main things. Of course, there is many other things, but basically, at the end of the day, you have a measure of how people are allocated or activities allocated in geographically, but also flows between different regions in the city. And from I mean, many of you work with this data and you know already these applications, but let me remind you, I mean, many of these applications, for example, one of these is the applications that we can build with these flows and this allocation of people is, for example, geosocial analysis. We can analyze, and I also show to you some applications we did. We can analyze not only what people are, but how do they socially interact when they are in a place in the city. Also, for example, we can do geo-marketing. Of course, we can actually make promotions which are geolocalized in time and space. And also we can think about how to allocate optimally resources like new branches or, I don't know, cash, for example, cash in ATMs, etc. Of course, one of the main uses of this information could be, for example, fraud detection. And I'm going to show you, we work also in our company about in this. And also event detection. Something is happening in the city, so if we geolocalize people in the city, we cannot detect whether there is a normal event or something which is unexpected, or something which is expected and the impact of it. So first of all, let me show you, for example, the things we can do with the geolocalized data from social networks on social media. Like, for example, this is Twitter data and geolocalized tweets. So using this data, we can know how people move around in the city, in this case in the region of Madrid, but also we can do it in Spain. We can know how what is the flow of people going around in the city of Spain, and this has many applications, like from tourism to economic impact, to, I don't know, transport regulation, etc. And this is actually one of the things that you can do, because as I was telling you, there's a lot of tweets which are geolocalized, not only tweets, but also other type of data. You can do things, for example, like in geomarketing, you can know what is the social influence of the people that visit your store. Maybe you see this morning that that Marcelo was talking about the demographics of the people that visit your store and your area and your sector, but also you can think about the social capital of these people. I mean, is this the people that come into my store? Do they have an influence in the social network? What is the cloud index of these people? I mean, you can see, for example, this study we did in the neighborhoods of Madrid. You can see that the regions of Madrid, people is also segregated by social capital. So that means that the people that are checking in your store is different socially than the people that are checking in another different store. And this is very important if you want to do marketing, because you have a segment that you have to market, which is different from the general public, let's say. Obviously, one of the things that you can imagine is that no one of us can travel faster than 1,000 kilometers per hour. Well, at least that I can imagine of. So one of the things that you can do with this geolocalized data is to use it for fraud detection. I mean, if you have two transactions which are far away in a short time period, then one of these can be flagged as fraud. Okay. Also, you can use not only the location of the merchant, but also the IP address of your online transaction. Okay. You can do things. For example, this is a research that this is a project that we did with BBVA, in which we wanted to analyze. We did many things, but one of the things that I bring to you today is we analyze using these geolocalized card transactions. We analyze how what is the risk of your cash flow or your sales, let's say, in a store. So what is the risk, for example, that in your store you have no sales today? This is a very important property, or a very important thing that you can, if you have a store, for example, in which you have perishable stock and you have to remove the stock every day, this is a very important thing. Well, I can tell you the result, because it's not very striking once you know the culture in this country, is that the cash flow or the sales are much more predictable in a bar than in a shop in Spain. Okay, and this is basically the black is basically the areas in Madrid in which are very predictable, and the yellows are the ones which are very unpredictable. And you see that the center of Madrid is a very predictable area in the sense of cash flow. I mean, the sales of the store. There are other applications, for example, like optimizing cash. We did some work on this. How to, I mean, knowing the demand of cash in a branch or in an area, you can actually have analytical models that predict you how many cash you have to keep in your branch or in the ATMs of your branch. This is very important, because it's lower the costs of what is called at the end of the day money. Which is because that money you have to move it around between branches or to the headquarters of the bank, and this is very expensive to move money around a city or around an area. Also, you can identify the best place to have a shop. Marcelo was showing us this morning that there were some special shops in a street which actually share a lot of clients with the other ones. So maybe this is the nice spot to put a shop. But also, for example, you can think about if there is no, so if people travel a lot to, for example, get furniture in an area, then you can think that this area, you can put a furniture store in that area if they travel a lot to get it. You can also detect events, and this is a very active area nowadays. You can use the data that we have, all this big data from our local governments, all the big data from tweets, social networks, etc., social media, etc. You can get it to detect where something is happening. This is, for example, what happened in the last 11th September. So you can see now, for example, that at the 5 p.m. in the afternoon, there was this Via Catalana forum by looking at the geolocalized tweets in that area. So you can see that analyzing the difference between normal days and and the date you want to look at, you can detect whether there is some gathering, there is special gathering or something going on, and or not also that for, I mean, administrations are very interested in this because they can manage you can manage much better the resources that they have, but also, for example, you can measure the impact of your event. Okay, there are many applications. Maybe you have many in mind, but this is the main applications that we have been working on. So this is a workshop about how to build an application based on geolocalized data, specifically the BBVA API data from card transactions. So what I'm going to tell you about now is that you also need to access other information. The first and the type of information that I'm going to talk about is three types of information. So the first source of information that you need is actually activity. I mean, and the BBVA API, the credit card transactions are part of this activity, but you can also use Twitter, or you can also use, I don't know, real estate data, or you can use weather forecast, any other type of activity that you can geolocalize in the area. The second thing that you need, obviously, is that the contest, the data is 6 months of data from 2 regions in Spain, which is the Barcelona and the Madrid region. So obviously you need to access any geographical information system that you have, or any open data that you have about administrative boundaries. And I'm going to show you some examples of that. And the second and the third thing that you need is obviously maps. You need maps to I don't know, picture your data, or to draw your data, or to show your data. So let me show you that very briefly. I mean, if some of you might have already seen this presentation, or of course you have deep below part of your application, so you have already used this information. But let me show you that there are free ways, open ways to get this kind of data. Okay, obviously maps. I'm going to show you here a little bit how the services are used, but this is not code-like presentation. But one of the main sources of the maps that you can use in your application is Google Maps. There are many services in Google Maps, and I'm going to go through all of them. For example, you can get the static maps through Google Maps or through other services that have interfaces with the Google Map API. For example, you can make it in R, etc. There's another place you can get maps from, which is the OpenStreetMap Initiative, in which you have collaborative and also open projects. I was amazed to see the quality and the amount of projects that you can find in this Open Maps project. Also, for example, you can get in here. There are many services in these interfaces, but one of the ones that you can do, for example, in Open Maps, is to get routes between 2 locations, which might help you to, for example, to identify flows of people within administrative areas. Okay. I'm sure you know all of this. There are many other commercial services. You can find much more detailed information about maps, and also things like, for example, urban background, etc. But these are open services. The second thing that you need is administrative boundaries. So one of the services, for example, in the API from BBVA is that you get information about the postal codes where people are coming from to buy to make transactions in an area. So you need the administrative boundaries of these postal codes, which is the resolution, one of the resolutions that you have. The other one is, as I will let you know in a minute, the other one is actually areas of 500 meters by 500 meters. Okay. There are not many places you can find, I mean, globally, the shape files, but there are some of them. You have also interfaces in the R and in Python, which you can download the shapes of administrative areas at the level of the country and other levels. But what I'm going to show you, and also you can edit the shape files, what I'm going to show you is that we have, we are lucky that we have Carto Ciudad, which is at the level of Spain. You can download also at the level of the provinces. You can download the shape files or of the postal codes. By the way, I didn't say what is a shapefile. I assume that all of you knew about what is a shapefile, but let me come back. A shapefile is basically, a shapefile is a vector data format in which points, paths, and areas in a map are given in as points, vectors, and polygons in the data. Also, you have attributes about these shapes, like for example population of a postal code, etc. So a postal code is basically in a shapefile is basically a collection of points which are joined by lines. Okay, and this is you can use this, for example, to identify how many tweets are in a postal code, as I will show you. Sorry about that. Okay, so at the level of Spain, you have Carta Ciudad, in which you can access shape files for each province, municipality, and postal code. And you have also have much more information, for example, about the urban background. Okay, at the level of Madrid, we have Nome Calles. I know you know Nome Calles, but you have a lot of information there at the resolution level, at the level of municipality, districts in Madrid, postal codes, etc. So you have all the shape codes, all the shape files, sorry, about postal codes, and also about the districts within Madrid, and you can use them, I don't know, for example, to know how many tweets or how many check-ins or how many, I don't know, other type of data which is localized is actually on the same postal code as the data from the BBVA tell us. In Barcelona, which is the other place in which the database is given, data from, you have a Plan de Territorio Metropolitano Barcelona, you have all the shape files about the province of Barcelona there, at the level of, you have also at the level of postal codes and also the level of districts. And you have much more information. You have also information, for example, about unemployment in postal codes and also in census traits. Okay, there is one web page, one web portal in which you can find all the information from Generalitat de Catalunya, which is Datos Abiertos GenCat, in which you can find all the cartography of Catalonia and also specifically the cartography about Barcelona. And I'm going to tell you. By the way, these transparencies are going to be available at the homepage of the Centro de Innovación, so you don't want to write all the data, then you will have them online. The second thing, and this is something that is really important to build an application which is centered in a city, is that we live in a very heterogeneous areas. Okay, the city of Madrid is not homogeneous in population. There are highly populated areas and there are low populated areas. So you have actually always to compare activity towards demography, towards how many people live in a specific area. And also economically the areas are very different. Okay, so for example, the unemployment in the different areas in Madrid is very different. Okay, so you have also to keep into account, sorry, that you have a very heterogeneous population, but also economical activity. So one of the things that you can do is to incorporate in your model or in your application demographic data and also economic data. At the level of Spain, we have the Instituto Nacional de Estadística and el Servicio Público de Empleo Estatal, which offers an employment and also population and also gender and age tables by provinces, municipality, and also census section. Census sections are sections which are defined by the census. Okay, and also in here you have also an employment by municipality. It is very important, which as I was saying, even at the level of the city, the demographics are very heterogeneous. So you might want, if you are, for example, building a recommendation engine with this data or with other data, you have to incorporate these heterogeneities in the population and economical activity. Okay, at the level of Madrid, we have also the database from the Madrid City Council and also from the Comunidad de Madrid database, in which you can find the population by municipality, also the economical data by municipality, and also population by districts and neighborhoods in Madrid. So it's very small neighborhoods, you can find the data. Okay, so this is our open. Of course, there are data providers that can give you all these data bases for some price, but this I think is very I mean, it's open. I mean, and actually we paid already for this because it's our data already. And you can find in there and download it. At the level of Barcelona, you can find also Departamento de Estadística of the Barcelona City Council and also the Catalonia region. You can find also the data, population by district, unemployment by district, population by municipality, and economical data by municipality. Okay. On top of this let's say, static activity or static data like population, economical activity, etc., economical development, etc. We have activity, things that are happening actually on the regions that we are interested in the contest, which is the Barcelona. I remind you, the Barcelona and the Madrid region. One of the things that you can do, for example, is to download Twitter data, geolocalized tweets. I'm going to show you just how you connect to the developers page in Twitter. And I expect that they don't change when they pass the IPO today. So you have to connect to the developers area here. You have to sign in. You have to create your application. Okay. You have to feed in your details about your application. Maybe I'm telling you things that you know already, but once you register your application, you are given the consumer key, secret, access token, and the secret for the access token. And with this, you can connect to two main APIs. One is the REST API, and the other one is the Stream API. These are the two different APIs that Twitter has that can give us information about geolocalized tweets. The REST API, you can actually have several queries with many parameters, but the number of requests is limited. While this one, for example, you have one query, or you can repeat it, the query, and this is why the requests are not time limited, because you can repeat the Stream API. The things that, for example, we do it with the Stream API. For example, we do things like this. How to ask Twitter for tweets which are geolocalized in the area of Madrid. You have to go to the Stream API and actually to the service in the API, which is called the post status and statuses, and then you filter there by locations within a box. Okay, so this is our longitude and latitude coordinates that define a box, which is in which I enclose Madrid in. Okay, and then you can have things like this. For example, you can have all the tweets which are geolocalized in Madrid for the last 3 months, and you can get, for example, flows of people going from one area to the area. You can clearly see this is the city of Madrid, this is Guadalajara, this is, I think, is Segovia, and this is Toledo. Okay, so you can see clearly this is much more than the area of Madrid because we are enclosing in a box. Although you can also, for example, ask Twitter about tweets which are within a circle, disk in the plane. Okay. And with this, for example, you can actually have a look at what is the population of Twitters, of people that are using tweet in Madrid. This is the city of Madrid. Okay, this is the city center of Madrid, and then you can have so the yellow, the more yellow, the yellower the color, the more Twitters are in an area. So you see that also the number of people that are tweeted in the activity in Madrid is also scattered around and very heterogeneous. But this is the kind of things that you can do with the Twitter, and also with the shape files that I show you. You can enclose each of the tweets within an area. Okay. But one of the things of the BBVA API, those of you that have been working with it, is that there is another way of asking for geolocalized data. One thing is to ask for a postal code. You can ask about the economical activity within a postal code, but also you can ask about the economical activity within an area, which is a square of mostly 500 kilometers times 500 kilometers. This is actually these squares correspond to the area that one of the services in the API give me data about. Okay, and so for example, with the Stream API, we can also identify Twitters in this area. So I remind you that there are two ways to access this geolocalized data in the API. One is by postal code, and the other one is by area. And this area are predefined areas of 500 times 500 meters. Okay, which are specifically the ones that you can find here. Okay, so you want to participate in the challenge, you need the data from the API, you need to use the data from the API. From BBVA, the way to do it is to register yourself or your team, like in the community, in the Centro de Innovación, but also in the developer area. You have to upload your applications, you have to register your application, and this is done through the developer homepage. Okay, there you just simply register your application, that you are given an ID and a key. Okay, and those are the ones that you are going to use to make queries or make requests to the API. The way it's done is very, very simple. What you have to do is to merge or to put together the ID and the keys, okay, separated by column, and then you have to codify into base 64, and then you have to do simply a HTTP request that includes the service that you want, the parameters, I don't know, the area that you want, or the day, or I don't know, the month or etc. And you group the results by week or whatever, and then you have to put also, I mean, well, the authorization, okay, and this, the I would say the encoding of this AP, the ID and the key in this word. Okay, so it's very simple, and I'm gonna show you, for example, how to do this. This is Python-like, but I'm gonna show you how to do this also from R. Okay, by the way, all the scripts that I'm gonna show you now are also available for any one of you that would like to play with the data and also with the API. Basically, it's very simple. You define the ID, the key, you encode them, okay, you put them together, and then there are three services, as I was telling you in the BBVA API. One is called the cards cube, the categories info, and the customer zip codes. The first one is telling you information about how many transactions and also credit cards are buying in an area or a postal code by my merchant segment, and also by age or by gender. Okay, so you have a cube in which you can find all different information about different things. Okay, so if I want to ask the API about how many people are buying, are going, for example, shopping for fashion in the city center, and also have an age and gender, you can use that. Okay. You have also but this is actually only for, sorry, this was only for gender and sex, and also the number of transactions. But also you can ask about the categories info. You can ask about the merchant categories and these other services. But the ones we are going to use, and I'm going to show you how to use, is the customer zip codes. You can ask also about where are my clients or the people that are buying in an area coming from in terms of zip codes, postal codes. So I want to know, in this area of Madrid, Pozuelo, where do people come from to buy? I don't know, to go to the cinema, go to cinema here. Okay, and this is going to tell me where the postal codes of these clients, the number of people that come from the different postal codes. Okay, the parameters of this request are you have to specify also a min date, or minimum time, minimal time, maximum time, and also, well, the zip code you are interested in, and also you have to specify you group by month, and there is a resolution. You can group up to, I think it's weeks, if I remember correctly. You cannot group by days. And also you show results by cards. For example, the number of cards, not the number of money, but the number of cards that were actually buying in this zip code during these dates and by postal codes. Okay, so at the end of the day, you have a table where you have to perform the request, which is very simple. Okay, you have to get, this is the service, this is the parameters, this is actually this is where we encode our ID and key. Okay, and then, well, all the parameters which are here, group by, zip code, etc. All this is available to you if you want. You can get it, and then you get a table which is like this, in which you have the zip code, where the clients are coming from, the number of cards, different cards from this zip code, the number of payments that they did, and actually the number of cash, the number of money, or the amount of money actually that this number of payments amount to. Okay, so this is the kind of data that you can access in this API. You can also do things much more involved, and this is one of the things that I advise you, that don't use the data as it is. Do things with the data which are not obvious. For example, one of the things that you can do is that, since we have the postal code where people come from, okay, to my postal code, or the place where my shop is, I can identify flow. I can actually measure flows of people. Okay, I can measure how many people from a postal code go to another one. Okay, and this is what we call the adjacency list of flows of people. So I can identify how people move around in the city of Madrid in terms of commercial activity. And at the end of the day, have, for example, that people from this postal code go to that postal code for a specific merchant category, like, for example, like, for example, bars and restaurants. Okay, so you can have things like this. You can have, for example, people. This is the customer zip codes, and I can build, for example, where this is the zip that I'm interested in, and I have all the flows of people that are coming from all the areas in Madrid, and also the areas to buy. I don't know which this, I think, by any, this is all categories, but this is how you do it. Okay, So the final thing that I'm going to talk about very quickly is how to build a simple application from this data. And just to show you how easy is it, and also to encourage you to do it, because this is just a toy model. I mean, it's not intended to be a full-fledged application, but it's just how to build an application, which is a recommended application. In our case, what we're going to do is to use two APIs, two services from the API. One is CardQueues and the one is customer stick codes. It's very simple. The recommendation is basically, I'm going to recommend people where to go in the city, okay? And for this, I'm going to use where the API from the BBVA tell me how people move in order to buy in the city, okay? For example, I want to answer questions like, where do people like me go shopping? Or which restaurants are visited by people like similar to me? Okay, so for example, this is what we found. We found that people which are male from this age, which is my age, I told you, they go shopping fashion in these areas, okay, and bars and restaurants in this area. The more ready the area, the more people are going to this area in Madrid. You can also do the same thing like these questions. Where do people in my district go shopping? Okay, so I can recommend that people living nearby, where do they go, for example, for bars and restaurant to discover, I don't know, nice restaurants. You can also do that using the API, the BBVA data. And also, for example, I can show you things like, for example, this is the example from the postal code, this one. To buy fashion, people don't move a lot in Madrid. This is very, very ubiquitous. I mean, you can find that people don't move a lot to buy fashion, but that's not the thing for bars and restaurants. People do travel a lot around Madrid for bars and restaurants. Okay, you can merge the two things and you can create things like, for example, a recommender that tells you if you are male, this age range, and living in postal code, where to go to buy fashion or where to go, for example, for bars and restaurants. And here you can use data from, I don't know, from the web or from other services to build a new guía del ocio, okay? For example, to recommend people where to go, okay? So this is the last slide, and I'm gonna give Marisol the opportunity to give you much more details about the contest. So the idea of the challenge is to get used to this BBVA API and to show to show the value of this data in building applications and value. But the key point is to have an idea. I recommend that you go to the homepage of Centro de Innovación, in which Marcelo and their colleagues have been working on this data for a long time. There are many ideas that you might have think about, which are already done by the amazing group that they have in BBVA. Okay, my advice to you is that you have to find the value in your application. Okay, and the value comes from integrating many sources of information, not just the BBVA API, which is a must. You have to use it, but you have to integrate other applications. But the value comes, in my opinion, comes from the analysis and the modeling of the data. Okay, and for this, I think you need data like, for example, demographics and economical activity and economical development in the areas in Madrid. Okay, so I encourage you to participate, and Marisol, whenever you want, you can finish this off. It's already done.
Thank you, Esteban. Okay, I think that everybody has now a pretty good idea of what we have available for you in the Innovation Challenge contest. But I will just take a few minutes to tell you more about the competition itself. I think we have here the presentation. I'm going just to the important matter here. Okay. So Esteban already told the details about how to use the API that we have opened with the information, with the data. But I am going to tell you about the contest, okay? This is the first of the kind contest here in Spain, and I think that is one of the few contests around the world using bank-specific information. So we are really thrilled about this initiative, and I think that maybe you will have some really good ideas and work with us to get new ways to use this information, okay? We hope to work with all the active communities around the world because this is an open and a global competition. We hope that everybody may be interested in participate. Yes, the information is only about Madrid and Barcelona cities, but anyone around the world may create and participate in this contest. The Centro de Innovación webpage is in English and in Spanish, so you may get the information and see the details there, okay? So, this is a contest about big data, but we hope that you may create new applications, web pages, mobile apps, visualizations, anything you can come up with in any device or using any kind of programming language, okay? We have 3 main categories. The first category is apps for citizens, for use for final users, citizens as you and me. And these apps should make citizens' lives better, okay? The idea is to use the API, BBVA's API, and if you can, mix it with other information. The second category is applications for businesses, okay? Businesses, maybe private companies, or also maybe government, okay? And the third one is visualizations, because we know that you can learn a lot about only looking at the information and understanding it in new ways. So for each category, and this is the nice part, we have 3 prizes. We have 15,000, 10,000, and 5,000 euros. In total, we are giving out 90,000 euros for this contest, okay? Well, I only have to ask for your help. If you know anyone who may be interested in this competition, please spread the word. We are participating in events like this, in universities, with any community of developers here in Spain or around the world, Latin America, the States, anywhere, where might be people interested in this, and we work with us to create new ideas and new ways to apply this information. Thank you, everyone, and we are here if you need any more information.
Good luck.
Okay, thank you very much. Any question, please? Okay, I have a question for you guys. You think the data of Madrid and Barcelona, especially transactions of credit cards and so forth, do you have the intuition? Do you think that it can be used for other city centers in Europe? It can be, so could this data challenge be of interest to people in, I don't know, France, Sweden?
Well, I don't know the actual details, but I think there are some international groups that have already registered in the BBVA, and for sure Madrid and Barcelona are industrialized area, and technologically they are much more developed like in other areas in the city, in the world. So I think you can extrapolate the results that you get here to other areas.
Okay.
Also, as you can see, the information we are opening now is very generic, very basic information. So the method and the apps may be then translated to other cities when we open any other information.
Very good. In fact, there was a data challenge by the Orange mobile operator in Ivory Coast, and that was very popular worldwide. So I'm sure that you guys are going to have this resounding impact as well. And are you planning to have any award ceremony? Are you going to announce the winners when exactly?
Okay, the time limit for presenting the projects is December the 3rd. And after that, we are taking a couple of weeks to analyze all the projects, because we know there's a lot of work behind it, and we need to review everything with care and detail. So 2 weeks after that, we are announcing the winners through the different media and in our webpage, and of course communicating with each winner.
So just in time for Christmas then. Okay, so hope maybe someone here who is competing gets lucky. Any question? Yes?
Do you hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
not directly related to the big data world, but how do you anonymize the data and what level of granularity you provide?
Well, maybe we can tell Marcelo, which is the owner of the data, how to do this. No.
Okay, so hi. So you were asking how are we anonymizing the data and the level of granularity. So the anonymization of the data is basically we strip out all the customer data from the data except from the age and the zip code of origin and the sex. And then we do another thing, which is when we aggregate data in those services, in those data services, if the data that we are going to give you comes from less than 3 cards, then we're not going to give you anything. Because maybe there would be, I don't know, you're asking for males in this group from this zip code, and it turns out that there's just only one guy in that age living in that zip code, so you know who he is, right? So we're not going to do that. And then we do another part of anonymization, which is anonymizing the stores, because maybe you ask for shoe stores in a given area and there's only one shoe store. So we don't give any information if there's less than 5 stores of the same category. Again, the results that we are giving you are based on at least 5 stores, because if there is one very big store and 3 smaller or 2 smaller shops, then you are giving out the data from the big store, because the other 2 are irrelevant. And of course, we are looking, in the future, we're looking towards making these thresholds more dynamic, depending on what the data are showing. So if there's, for example, 2 different customers with enough transactions and you cannot really distinguish which are whose, then maybe we can give the information of only 2 instead of 3. Or with the store, same thing. But there's 3 stores, there's enough data, then you don't need to have those thresholds. So that was one question, and the other question was, I don't remember, sorry.
It's in fact related, so it was related with the granularity of the data that you publish. So at the end of the day, you've answered both.
Okay, yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that goes to prove that this is not only technology. We need some data scientists making sense of the criteria to use it. So I think that's it. Thank you very much, Marisol and Esteban.
Just want to remind you that you have until December 3rd to participate. So take advantage of this time and create your project.
Thank you very much.